almost down. We got.
My hands stable, I feel able to turn the tables. I could do this, just keep moving, keep your hands up, stupid. I feel lucid, a new viewing. I can see the end, I can see my future, I can view it. It's right there for the taking. Everything I've ever wanted, dreams are just waiting. I just gotta fight for it, willing to die for it, willing to like sort of.
Hey, greetings from the year 3000, it still sucks. This is Philip J. Price, and you're listening to the Drunken Turkey Show, your one stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe. You know what to do, just like every other podcast.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Drunk Turkey Show. I'm Daniel alongside Big Blue and Jaime. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I had a good day. I was off yesterday, so I got to relax today and watch a few games last night. So
don't tell me about games.
Yeah, I know why.
My team lost too, so
yeah, but at least your team looked like they could play football.
yeah, yeah, they were close. They still blew it.
Yeah, it was a good game. What about you, Jaime? How was your weekend?
It was good, man. It was good. I also caught the Jets game and what was the Cowboys game. It was I mean, I'm not really huge football fan. You know what I mean?
I don't think they played each other.
No, the different games. Jesus.
Oh, okay.
I was like,
I'm pretty sure the Jets played the Chiefs.
Yeah. What's it called? Yeah, I watched those two games, and I mean, I'm not a big football fan, but after watching those, I might be.
Yeah, you watched the Chiefs game because you know who was there.
Yeah, Taylor Swift was there. Yeah.
Taylor Swift.
Is that why you trimmed the beard to look more like Kelsey? Is that what's going on right now? Travis Kelce?
Duh.
He's got the height already. He's got the height. So, yeah, man, I went to the Houston Texans Steelers game, and it was a disappointment. I don't even want to talk about it. But, yeah, hit that follow, like, and subscribe. Steeler fan comes in and says that. We'd appreciate it. We'd appreciate it. So we got some good news coming out of Morue State Park. Little girl, Charlotte's Sena, was found. She's been missing since this weekend. Now, yeah. It says here, this is reporting from CNN. Charlotte Sena, the 9-year-old girl who went missing while on a camping trip at a New York State park 2 days ago, has been found safe, and a suspect has been named. So it is, in fact, that she was abducted. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, man. When I heard first the story, it sounded like she was because her bike was found on the side of the road, and it was such a short period of time that where the bike was found, somebody would have seen her wandering on the street, but nobody saw her.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured that she probably got picked up because, I mean, it is a wooded area, but I don't think, man, I mean, she would be probably mysterious enough to try to walk through it, but it was getting dark, so she probably knew better than trying to go to the woods at that time of night.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. That was everybody saying your glasses, bro. Your sunglasses are no longer in use.
Yeah, unfortunately, I scratched my eye with my contacts earlier, and I can't wear my contacts, so I can't wear the sunglasses because I can't see jack. There's reasons why the Army kicked me out is because of my eyesight. So I had a medical discharge because I was going blind in one of my eyes. Something I can't pronounce it. Is like keratoconus, something like that. Blue, you know what I'm talking about, right? Where the cornea continues to cone out, and then you eventually go blind one day.
I don't remember the exact start of it. Sorry.
Well, yeah, it's keratoconus or something like that. So, yeah, my eyes were bothering me. The contacts were hurting. So, it is what it is. You guys have seen my face.
Now you're gonna have stalkers,
right?
Yeah,
so
now they can recognize you at the local HIB or the Walmart.
Right? People are gonna come. Are you that guy? And be like, yes, I was on Lost.
Just like,
All right, so so here's the thing about this Charlotte case. It appears that she was only gone for a short period of time, and they had a suspect, and they found the suspect. Apparently, they were searching a few different properties. Right?
Mhm.
Do you guys think that there had to be some sort of evidence that led to a specific person? What do they? There's the wifey. What do you where do they get that information from? Like, or what do you think that is? Do you guys think it's perhaps maybe she was on the phone, planned something? You know, what are your guys' thoughts?
I don't know. She is 9, but yeah, because if they have cell phones, they get into a lot of mysterious stuff.
Yeah.
I think this one was more just grandma opportunity because she had already been biking around with her family a few times, and then she went one more time on her own, and then got picked up. So maybe somebody saw him and then saw that she was by herself and just took a chance. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Ronnie for missing persons, PMW says those fingerprints had a random note he left at their house. Oh wow, this is deep.
Mhm.
So he definitely had to have known, you know, been stalking or something or another. And 100%, yeah, the sun bothers me. The other day I walked out, it was cloudy, and my neighbor was laughing because I went in and had to go run and grab my sunglasses because it was too bright for me. It was horrible. But yeah, she gets found. I wonder if there was a ransom note, if that was what's going on, because it was ruled pretty early that it was an abduction. Now, the one thing that I found kind of weird was in this People's article, right? It says here, and this is from New York State Governor Kathy Hochul. She stated that Charlotte was camping with her family in Morrow Lake State Park in Gainesville, New York, where she disappeared on a bike ride. She did a couple loops with close friends, and she considered her cousin close friends. She considered her cousins, and then decided going for a loop around Loop A. She said she wanted to go around by herself one more time, be that big girl, do it by herself. But after 15 minutes, she was nowhere to be found. However, her bike was found. So very quick. She wanted to go on her own. I felt when I read that this led to me that there had to be some sort of like communication. Do you guys see that too? What about you? What do you think, Jaime?
You know, when I first heard about it, man, and like it was a state park and whatnot, I was like, it better not be one of these missing 401 cases, you know, because then, you know, those usually don't end up in a, you know, on a good note.
Right.
You know, like it's rare. It's really rare when it comes out as a good note. But luckily, she was found. And you know, they have the suspect in custody. I don't know if there was witnesses to maybe at least not the abduction itself, but like maybe people who were around the same area saw someone, you know, suspicious and put up a, you know, a red flag.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. What about you, Big Blue? Do you think that there was some sort of conversation prior to maybe some sort of communication, whether it's on the phone, social media, you mean on a neighbor close by relationship? What do you think?
It could be, man. I guess I've seen it plenty of times where these kids are playing like these innocent games. They think they're playing against other children, and they're actually playing against another adult that's just taking in information little by little. And we've seen it time and time again where they get abducted in different places, like the situation that happened at the Dallas Maverick game. You know, the little girl went with a family to the Mavericks game, and she was talking to this character online, and he abducted her and took her all the way to North Carolina, from Dallas to North Carolina, and she was missing for 2 weeks or a week, and they found her chained up in a shed. So This stuff happens through games. So it's a possibility.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely could be. So more information is coming out about the suspect in this case. Apparently, he's a convicted pedo, 51 years of age. So let's read this. This is from the Daily Mail. It says a convicted pedo was arrested over the abduction of a 9-year-old girl who vanished from her family holiday while riding a bike in an upstate New York park. Charlotte Sena 9 was found alive and safe on Monday, 2 days after she vanished from Moorroot Lake State Park in Gainesville. 51-year-old suspect is a known pedo with a sexual criminal history. After the girls vanished, he left a harrowing ransom note at the Sena's parents' home covered in his DNA and fingerprints, which investigators then used to arrest him. Public records show that the 51-year-old suspect was convicted of sodomizing young boys in 1997 and was sentenced up to 15 years. It is understood that schoolgirl Charlotte was found in a trailer at a property owned by the suspect's relative in Milton, New York. Oh man, that's horrifying.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah, it is. It's insane.
So in other words, neighbor or whatever he was, right, was scoping it out for a while then, huh?
Yeah, I think he may have been. I think he didn't. It's not that far, right? There's a good chance that he may have been scoping out the area for a minute, trying to find a victim, just kind of trolling. So Blue may be correct on that it's just a crime of opportunity.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I know that it's a state park. I'm not sure how they are in New York, but I know here every time I go to the state park, I drive in, and there's always like a camera, at least at when the front gates, working. There's always like a camera facing towards the cars that are coming in, and then they take your ID and then they register you in. But I've been to some state parks where you have to drive in half of the park to get to the office and then check in there and then put the sticker on your window when you park and then go on the trails. So he could have done that without even being noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember watching, but watching the documentary of that Missing 401 where those kids were playing hide and seek, and one of the kids went behind the tree while one of the parents was watching from a distance, and everybody came out after the game was done, and the little boy didn't come out. Do you remember that one? That supposedly it was like a couple of seconds before he went missing.
Yeah. They were. I remember that one exactly. The hide and seek one, right?
Yeah, and then they're unfortunately they never found the kid, man.
Really?
Yeah, and there's a bunch of stories like that on the Missing 401 documentary and books. And I was like, when I heard about this, oh no. But luckily that was not the case.
Yeah. It's a very unfortunate, sad thing that's going on, man. And with that one, with the 411, there's been situations where, like, I think it's the one you're talking about where he sees his kid go behind a tree and then he disappears, right?
Yeah, I think they ran into a family out there with the same last name, and they have this two kids as well. And the kids asked their parents if they wanted to play hide and seek, and they're playing. They did play a couple of rounds, and then at the end of one of the last rounds, the little kid went hide behind the tree. And after everybody came out, the dad noticed that he was behind there, went back to see if he was there, and never saw him again.
Wasn't there a family that reported seeing like a bear or something like a mile or two away?
Yeah,
they looked like a person.
Yeah, they said that there was a big. Well, they said it was a person, like a huge person, running with like what it looked like a kid over his shoulder, about like a mile and a half away from where the kid actually went missing. So
yeah,
that's creepy as hell, man. So,
it is, dude. It's insane.
I don't know if it has to do with anything like paranormal or anything like that. You know what I mean? But I don't know what it is. And no, I mean the The author of the book doesn't even know what it is. That's why he's trying to investigate and whatnot.
Right. You know, I think that there's a possibility that you have like certain people that may be residing in the woods, right? That choose to live out there, things like that. And I think maybe they might be somewhat responsible for some of the persons missing. I think that you have bear attacks. Those could be missing. But then you have the ones that are weird, like the one where you had like a 2-year-old who was found like 9 miles away through, and had he walked there, he had to go through like swamp and like harsh land, a bunch of things, and there was no evidence of him going through those things. And you know, he looked perfectly fine, and he wasn't very talkative. I can't remember the child's name, and these are all true documented cases. He said that the hairy man helped him. Right. So like those things are crazy. But with this situation, obviously that, you know, wasn't the 411, but it definitely it would be considered though, right? Because the 411 are when somebody goes missing or abducted from a national park or so. I think this would be considered. I just think that this one would have been one of the ones that had a more, you know, grounded explanation, of a horrific one at that.
I want to throw in there. It's like this. Luckily, they found her, man, because there is like the stories. I've always wanted to go do the Appalachian Trail, right? But do you remember back for a while there was like a serial killer off the trail, and he killed I don't know how many people, 14 people went missing. It was a weird story where, you know, they'd be there one day, they'd be seen, and the next morning they'd be gone out of their tents, you know. And everything will be left behind. So that it's dangerous in any park, in any place. Like I like walking the trails here, and then sometimes, you know, just hear something in the bushes, and it's a homeless group camp out there in the middle of nowhere. So you just gotta be careful out there.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And like an area though, like I don't think you're secluded, you're in the woods, you're in a national park. It's probably one of the last few places you think something like this would happen. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know, a lot of those times that little kids go missing, you know, you would think it would be like, you know, animals, coyotes, or some kind of, you know, animal that took them. But apparently it's pretty rare. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, I remember one time we were walking through remember in Lake Tahoe, we were walking through all this signs that we weren't even reading.
We ended up in a mountain lion and bear habitat. We walked into a mountain lion and bear habitat. We didn't realize it until the last day we were there. And my wife would go through there by herself. And could you imagine? Jeez. But
no,
yeah,
I don't want to.
Yeah, you get lost there. You know what I'm saying? Press conference is scheduled for tomorrow. There's going to be one tomorrow. We'll cover it. If I should be free tomorrow to come on live either during it or shortly after to kind of talk about what occurred. But I mean, that's crazy. I'm glad they found her. You know, if this guy didn't go write a ransom note, I don't know. It would have been difficult. I don't know how many cameras are in this type of area. You know what I'm saying? Because there are some, you know, national forests where you can just drive on in. There's no cameras or anything like that. There might be some trail cams, but I think that's about as much as you might get. You know what I mean? And so, and
you think he put his cashapp, what's it called? The QR code on there, on the ransom?
He sounds stupid enough. He may have. Like, but, you know, this guy, he had been found guilty and convicted of doing some horrific things to little boys. it said there's, we got a sentence to serve up to 15 years. Doesn't sound like, when they say that doesn't mean that they served the 15 years. You get what I'm saying? That means that it was like 5 to 15, and he probably got the lighter part of that, or 10 to 15. And I think it's just a failure in the justice system. I mean, you have some people in jail that do, that are on victimless crimes, like for like holding marijuana or having large amounts of marijuana, or even at that, like you have folks from earlier that just had personal use marijuana on them. It's legal now, and yet they're serving hard time for it.
Yeah.
And yet you have this type of, trash out there, go commit a heinous crime like that, and then out on the street
in like 3 years.
Yeah, it doesn't. Where does it make sense at?
It doesn't. I mean, like you were saying, wouldn't it suck like if you get busted for drugs and like you get convicted, jailed, and then like 2 years later they legalize it? How does that work?
Yeah, you stay in jail.
You know what I'm saying? Like that sucks. Right? It's like, dude, if I did this 2 years later, I would have been okay.
Yeah, that's why there's like a lot of people fight that right now.
And that's it. In this country, we do like the minimum punishment to those type of crimes. I've seen what they do in other countries, and it's not nice. I mean, I've seen some crazy videos where like they some of them get like pretty much like castrated and stuff in other countries. They get mutilated so they can never do it again. So their hands get cut off and all this weird stuff, and you just give them a slap on the wrist and send them back out.
Yeah, it's not a good thing going into prison for those kind of crimes, because they take care of those people in there, take care of them. And because even though the hard criminals, I mean, you got murderers and whatnot, and they don't play around like that. You know what I mean? They've done their crimes, obviously to other adults and whatnot, but when it comes to kids, they can't tolerate that. So that should tell you how bad it is.
Yeah. That even the hardest of criminals don't find it. They find it grotesque and will take care of those people. It's definitely true. That's true. But I agree. Something like this towards a child or towards another person, should be something that is a longer term, especially a longer term than some of these, drug related crimes that are out there, where you have somebody who's using things. Like for me, I'm a very much of a believer, like, it's your body. You can put whatever you want in it. Right. It's your choice. It don't affect me much. Now, is it possible, people take advantage of that and stuff like that? That's their choice. People are grown ups. People are grown adults. They have the right to make their own choices. Who am I to go tell somebody else what they can or can't do or put in their body? Now, if they're doing something to somebody else or, violating the rights of others, that's a different story. But when it comes to like, especially like marijuana, I think that is stupid that it's not legal by now. It's just dumb. But I digress. In this case here, it's a happy ending. This little girl, but it's just the beginning, because this little girl is going to have to go, through court. This guy's going to have to get prosecuted and stuff like that. So she's going to have to hold strong. We're going to have to pray for her that way, because it's just the beginning. Yeah, there's people in jail for unpaid child support. That's true.
Not this guy.
You just hear.
Not this guy either.
I actually pay what I have to pay. Yeah.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah. We take care of our responsibilities on this channel. So, we'll keep in touch with this. Tomorrow there's going to be a conference. We'll tune in, we'll watch it, and either I'll go live during it or we'll do a show afterwards when it's done. But stay tuned for that.
What time is it?
I don't know, man. I need to figure out what time it is. Oh yeah, we definitely do. That stuff's horrible.
Yeah, that stuff's really bad, man. Like, that stuff is horrible stuff.
Yeah,
ID court date 10/26. All right. I'm not sure what that means, to be honest with you. Do you guys? The ID court date. All right. So moving on to the second part of the show, I wanted to talk about a statement that was created by Dustin Blaker. He's a sergeant for the Moscow Police Department. And, you know, it's come to my attention that there is the belief that, why is it doing that? There's a belief that the sheath was planted. You know, one officer saw it, one officer didn't. And they bring up this statement right here to reference it. And so, Idaho, yeah. Idaho court date. Oh, there's a new court date coming out on 10. All right, cool. We'll check that out. So his next court date is 10/26. Got it. So I wanted to go through this and see, you know, is there some validation to it? Is there not? Let's read through it and you guys tell me what you guys think, and we'll stop and ask questions. Sounds like a plan. So let's skip this first paragraph because all it is talking about himself as an officer, what he's done, his, you know, he's been a cop for 16 years, whatever. So here's where it starts. It says on November 13, 2022, at approximately 4 p.m., Moscow Police Department Corporal Brett Payne and I responded to 1122 King Road, Moscow, hereafter known as King Road residence. So right there, that says that they went together. Or no, I don't think it was that they went together. I think they both just responded. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that doesn't. It just means that they responded to that incident, right?
Yeah, I don't think they went together. I don't think that went together.
Yeah,
I think they just responded to the same call.
Yeah.
All right. So it's to assist with the crime scene and processing of crime scene associated with the 4 homicides. Now, what do we know that had occurred early on in this based on what Christy had told us? We know that Jack Core was woken up by one of his roommates, said that something was going on down the street. This was before the 1:30 call that Christy made to him, right? So we know it, and police are out there, so we know that it's between 11:58 a.m. when the 911 call is made and 1:30 p.m. when Kaylee Goncalves finds out about the situation and is calling him. So he's there in the morning. From what I understand, and we'll find out this here because it says, you know, Detective Payne interviewed Jack DeCour, Kaylee's ex-boyfriend. I think that's the reason why he's not showing up until 4. Now, if they're both arriving at 4, and they both, well, I don't know. Let's read on and then we'll figure it out as we go. Oh no, I think they did go together because it says upon our arrival, the Idaho State Police forensic team was on scene and was preparing to process the scene. So Idaho State Police forensic team was already there and they were prepared to do what they needed to do. So let's remember, I think that's going to be a key piece of information to remember. MPD Officer Smith, one of the initial responding officers of the incident, advised he would walk me through the scene. Officer Smith and I entered the King Road residence through the bottom floor door on the north side of the building. Smith and I then walked upstairs to the second floor. Smith directed me down the hallway to the west bedroom on the second floor, which I later learned through Xana's driver's license and other personal belongings found in the room was Xana Kernodle's, here known after as Kernodle's room. Just before the room, there was a bathroom door on the side of the hallway. As I approached the room, I could see a body later identified as Kernodle's laying on the floor. Kernodle was deceased with wounds that would have appeared to be caused by an edged weapon. Pretty much the same stuff that we read in the affidavit, right?
Yes, sir.
Also in the room was a male later identified as Ethan Chapin. Chapin was deceased with wounds that would later be determined by autopsy report provided by Spokane County Medical Examiner on December 15, 2022. Now, the reason why I think that they don't really necessarily where his body is at and or why they had to go get an autopsy report to verify it in this manner may have been because we suspect that there's a possibility that the body was moved. Right. We believe that there's a chance that Ethan may have been blocking the door, and if the officer is walking and the door is open, obviously he would have had to have been moved from where the scene was at first found. So it says here, I then followed Officer Smith upstairs to the third floor residence. The third floor consisted of 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. The bathroom on the west side of the floor was later determined to be Kaylee Goncalves' room. Now, do you think they would describe it as her room still if she had moved out already? Or do you think they would have said this was her former room?
I think it was too recent, no?
What do you mean?
Yeah,
She hadn't moved
off the
out?
lease yet.
Yeah.
No, she wasn't off the lease. But a lot of people say like, well, she moved out. She didn't have things there. She had already moved. She was talked into going back. She was going to have to go back regardless because she had a lot of things there. From what I could see through pictures and my understanding of the scene.
Yeah.
I did not ask Christy if, maybe I should have in hindsight 2020, if Kaylee was still there or living there or she had her bed and stuff there. So I don't know. But from my understanding, it appeared that she hadn't moved out yet. So this is, I learned later from review of Officer Nunez's body cam that there was a dog in the room when Moscow police officers initially responded. The dog belonged to Goncalves and her ex-boyfriend, Jack DeCour. I found out from Corporal Payne's interview with Jack DeCour on November 13, 2022, that he and Goncalves shared a dog. Officer Smith then pointed at a small bathroom on the east side of the third floor. This bathroom shared a wall with Madison Mogen's, hereafter Mogen room, which was situated on the southeast corner of the third floor. As I entered the bedroom, I could see 2 females in a single bed in the room. Both Goncalves and Mogen were deceased with visible stab wounds. I was later advised by ISP investigators that they located a tan leather sheath knife laying on the bed next to Mogen's right side when viewed from the door. Now, we know that this description wasn't very accurate about where this sheath was. Apparently, it was partially under the body of Maddie Mogen and partially under a comforter.
Yeah.
Now, here's what I was curious. It says, when viewed from the door, laying on the bed next to Mogen's right side. Where do you? Because what this tells me is it's on the right side of Mogen when you're looking at the bed from the door, not that you could see the sheath from the door. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I read here. Now, I think some folks are reading that the sheath was out in the open and you could see it from the door.
I don't think that was the case.
Yeah, we know that's not the case because we know that it was under her body and under the comforter.
Like partially under the comforter, right?
Right. Now, you're not going to touch anything in this scene, right? You're going to maybe perhaps maybe get some forceps or something and to pick up the comforter to see if you see anything, right? Now, we know that the forensic team is here already. They were already on scene, ready to process everything. I think there's a good possibility while these 2 officers, Blaker and Payne, were interviewing Jack DeCour at the station, I think the forensic team had probably already started the processing, right? I think there's a good possibility that they pointed out, one of the forensic teams pointed out the fact that there was a sheath where it was located, maybe perhaps lifted up the comforter and showed him. Right. Also, I think maybe perhaps do you think that this says something about maybe the position of Mogen when it says that, you know, it was on her right side when viewed from the door? Do you think that maybe says that she was on her side or maybe face down? What do y'all think?
I think more than likely she was either facing up, right?
That's what we think, but
yeah,
you don't think maybe she was like cuddling with Kaylee, like, you know, spoon, big spoon,
maybe.
little spoon?
More than likely, especially if I don't know what size bed it was too. You know, it also depends.
Right. I think it was like a full. It was a smaller bed than what she had.
Mm-hmm. Is it normal? Okay, when you're talking about the sheath being discovered, right? Is that after the bodies were removed, or was it during? Like they would search even though around the bodies, or they would just wait until the bodies were removed then search afterwards.
No, so I've never been in a homicide or never investigated one, never was a detective or investigator, any of those things. But if I was an investigator and the way I would have processed this scene and the way I've seen detectives process a scene, I would have walked in with the forensic team and, you know, the first responding officer, which sounds like that's kind of what happened here. You know, have the, you know, when the officer who in control of the scene when I would have gotten there kind of tell me, all right, what's going on? You know, we have 2 bodies here that, you know, the whole 9 yards, right? And you want to walk it like step by step from what we know, right? And so you'd walk in, say we have 2 bodies on the 2nd floor. At that time, they probably don't know if, you know, the backsliding glass door was the entry or exit point completely. They could have their suspicions, but they don't know. So they're just going to go on the front door, go up. They're going to see the first 2. And after, you know, the detectives visually see things, there's pictures, thousands of pictures being taken at that point. And that's when things start being moved. Bodies start being moved. Evidence starts getting collected. But it's fairly quickly in the investigation process. It's not something that's going to stay there. So, you know, if you have all your pictures done, which let's think about this. The 911 call came in at noon. It was very obvious of what they had. The investigating officer didn't arrive for 4 hours. Right. So I think that there's a good possibility that the forensic team went in there and took their initial pictures and processed initially part of the scene. Make sure that there wasn't anything that could perish, that didn't need refrigerating or something like that, right? And so they go in there, they probably find the sheath, notify the lead detective and tell him, hey, there's a sheath right here underneath, and they may have lifted it up. So just kind of lift it up and visually see it, put it down. And at that point, the forensic team would go in there and take it out. So there's a good possibility that only the lead detective actually saw it there, and that after he saw it, it was collected. You don't want something like that to be there too long, because if there is DNA on there, the longer it's there, the longer there's a possibility of it getting contaminated by one of the investigators or forensic team. So in my opinion, if I was doing this, that's the way I would have done it. And outside of the forensic team and the lead investigator, nobody else would have had firsthand knowledge that the sheath was there, outside of those 2 teams and the pictures, obviously, that were taken. So when this says here that hours later by ISP investigators, they located a tan leather sheath laying next to the bed. ISP, Idaho State Police investigators, I think that's because he didn't visually see the tan leather sheath because it was collected. Now, where does everything go? I'm assuming the Idaho State lab. So I'm assuming the Idaho State lab, criminal, the forensic team, the CSI. In certain places, you have to have a peace officer license to practice, so they would be considered officers. I wonder if that's where that would come for. Would you film it before? Yeah, of course, 100%. You would take pictures. I don't know about like a video camera.
But yeah, they have to take pictures of the scene and all those, like where everything's found.
Yeah.
And then they move all the stuff. So
let me see. I never said that that's what I read. Please go back a little bit and understand what I said. So that's how I would have processed the scene. And that's what I think is going on here. You have your lead investigator, right, going through with the officer who is in charge of the scene, right? And then there's probably the forensic team right behind him. But like I said, there's like a good 4 hours there before, that the crime scene is discovered and investigators get in there. So in that time, I think there could be a lot of work being done by the forensic team that wouldn't disturb what they initially see. You know what I'm saying? Well, here's the thing about the lead investigator. And this is the other thing too. We know that day one, right, that the mayor had come out and said that they thought this was a crime of passion. Well, you had Kaylee's ex lived down the street. He was with her the night of the night leading up to the incident at the corner club. They had been broken up for a few weeks. She had gone on dates with other guys during that time. She was moving to Texas. And like I said, he lived down the street. A knife is being used. And apparently, from what we understand, Kaylee has more severe wounds than the other victims. I think at first glance, you might think that that's what's going on, right?
Yeah.
But sure, you have to investigate that and to see if there's truth behind it, which is what they did. And they had Kaylee's ex-boyfriend walk up between 12 and 1:30 and identify himself as Kaylee's ex-boyfriend, and was picked up, taken to the police station for questioning. And not only were they questioned heavily at that time, but from my understanding, so was Bethany, so was Glenn, and the person who discovered the bodies and called 911. So you had those people there. You had the scene isn't going to change, right? But if these people are willing to talk, and you suspect maybe somebody knows something or is involved in it, you're going to talk to them first. If they're willing to talk, you're not going to put that to the side. So that's why I think it took 4 hours. What do you guys think? Why do you guys think it took 4 hours? We'll start off with you, Big Blue. You're muted.
Yeah, I think he was interviewing the ex-boyfriend because the office did say that he went in with him to talk to him at the police station. Sorry, there's loud noise in the background.
Right. What about you, Jaime? What are your thoughts on the situation?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, when these types of incidents happen, they usually go and question the, significant other, wife, husband, boyfriend, or girlfriend, right? So, especially if they were together the night before, as well.
Right.
So I think that was probably part of the process of questioning Jack, right? It probably took that long. And that's why they probably cleared him out pretty easy, fairly quickly.
Yeah. Well,
because usually it takes longer, right?
It depends. I mean, it just really depends. If his alibi is something that you can be checked,
yeah,
or there's something that that clears him, that is exculpatory, then
I think that was probably the case. No, his alibi. That's probably why it took so long to clear him. That much time to clear him.
Maybe. I mean, what do we know? We know that the first day the mayor came out and said, "Hey, this could be a crime of passion." And we know that the next day, or the day after, he comes out and says it could have been a burglary, it could have been a crime of passion. So very early, very quickly, within 2 days or so, they were starting to fall off the idea that that was a possibility. I think it could have been a lot of things. What I know about the investigation into Jack DeCore is that they questioned him multiple occasions during the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Multiple times. They forensically went through his phone, right? And they took his DNA, and he very, very upfront and what's the word I'm looking for? He didn't argue with the police. He was just, he wanted to do everything he possibly could. Yeah, he was very much cooperative in the situation. So he was able to get clear fairly quickly, but they investigated the crap out of him. They investigated the crap out of the surviving victims. You know, they didn't just like, oh, you know, these are victims. They treated them as suspects first. And from what I understand and from what I've heard, was that one of them was so traumatized that she couldn't even speak, and that the other one, for a while, like it was just like gibberish and crying and just trauma, and you can kind of understand why. You know what I mean? And like these girls were not good, and you know, I think we're going to see that during trial. You know, when people say that, oh man, and to rip them up, I'm not sure if that's the right move. I mean, especially if you see a video like that, like their interrogation or their statements, and you see how impacted they are, and how they're not faking it, and then you have a situation where the lawyer then makes that person relive and re-go through what they went through, and you know, accuse them and make them cry. I don't think that's a good look for a jury. You know, they don't know all the conspiracy stuff for the most part, right? Typically the goal is to find 12 people that haven't, you know little about the information and haven't searched everything. So they don't know everything. They don't know, you know, they're not going to know that Bethany was subpoenaed to be in the preliminary hearing, and that they made a deal for her to go talk to the defense, unless it comes out in court. Like, they don't find out any of those things. So, you know, they're going to just know what they see in those witness statements and those witness videos. And I don't think it'd be a good look for those 12 individuals if they saw that. You know what I mean? What do you guys think? We'll start off with you, Hyde.
Man, I don't know, man. I think she will go pretty far to convince, or at least make them stumble somehow. You know what I mean? And to put in some reasonable doubt that her client is not, you know, the one who committed this crime.
Right. No, I'm not saying that they're not going to do that. What I'm saying is she's not going to like yell at them, treat them like they're.
You'll be surprised, man.
Really? Surprised. You think she'll go down? I'm not saying that it's not a good tactic. What I'm thinking is, I'm not sure how the jury's going to feel about it. Like, if you were a jury and you saw that you had two girls who were part of a horrific crime and they survived, right? They're the survivors of this crime, and that's all you know. And you watch their statements and you see their trauma. You see them frozen. You see one of them not being able to talk. One of them can't understand. She's trying to help, but it's hard.
Yeah.
And then you see the attorney yelling at him. Is that going to be a good look as a juror and doesn't know anything else?
Well, the thing about being a juror, which it does never happen, right? Most of them, you know, the jury has feelings too. You're not supposed to judge by feelings, but you got to judge by the facts, right?
Right.
And unfortunately, it's kind of hard to overlook that sometimes, you know? I mean, for me, I'm more of a, I guess you could say, emotionalist person. You know what I mean? So like, I could probably overlook the feeling wise, but not. It's just one person compared to compared to the rest of the jury. They can feel whatever they want. You can't, you know. But I mean, even though you're not supposed to, but unfortunately, that's how it goes.
And for those that are saying it's not about looks, it's about the truth. I agree, but you also have 12 human beings that are judging the case. It's not for judges to understand, you know, just the evidence, that have been trained, who have law degrees. We're talking about 12 everyday people. Big Blue, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that the defense is going to question them. Of course, they can't go too hard because if they make, it's one of those things where, like, if you make somebody cry on the stand, you're the bad guy. It's going to be worse for their defendant. So they got to go at it a certain way. Now, what will they know? I think Bethany won't know anything if what we know is true. She was asleep the whole time. She might have got a call to verify that she was okay. That's all we know, right? And then the time of who came in the morning and what happened in the morning, that's what we'll find out with their statements. But we won't know who was holding the knife through her statement. Now, what's the other one's name? I'm trying to remember.
You have Dylan and Bethany.
Dylan.
Yeah.
Dylan's the one that supposedly saw him, right, walking out.
Yeah.
So her statement's going to be more of what I think they're going to question more. How tall was he? What she see, and how come she didn't call the police sooner? She's the one that's going to get grilled.
Right, but here's the thing. There's something that's called asked and answered. So if the defense attorney and Taylor goes, why didn't you call 911? And she goes, I was in shock and scared. I didn't know what to do. And I texted my friends. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know the extent of what was happening. They can't answer the same question again. That's it. They can't grill her. The question is asked and then answered. It's moved on. Now, in an interrogation where, you're talking with police officers, that's where those come into play. Now, if they have evidence to discredit her credibility, like, I don't know, they pull up her text messages and there's something in there that's off or weird, right? Then, they can discredit her that way. Now, as far as her statement, even if they come out and say, hey, were you drinking that night? And she says, yeah. Yeah. Were you on some drugs that night? Yeah. Let's just say she says, yeah. And then they go, well, is it possible that you were under the influence of this, that you didn't see Bryan or somebody that describes him? Well, even if she says, yeah, that's possible, does that exclude Bryan Kohberger from committing this crime? It's not. I think her testimony is probably the weakest part of the case. You know what I'm saying? So even if they get that part and they say, oh man, they didn't call 911, they didn't do this, they didn't do that, I don't think it's going to matter when you look at the whole case and you're trying to judge what's going on here. I think that if they say that they were in shock and fear and you can't ask another question about it, I just feel that that's what's going to end up happening. We got to be realistic about it.
Well, you can ask the same question, but reword it, right? Like differently.
Kinda. I mean, if it's obviously the same question, the lawyer can object to saying, ask and answer. So, it just kind of depends. You can ask other questions around it, but you can't necessarily ask the same one. And if you get too close to it, then you can get an objection at that point for ask and answer. Big Blue had to go to work, so we'll see him later. But here's the other thing that I wanted to talk about. It says here, the Idaho State Lab later located the single source of DNA with button snap of the knife sheath. Now, there's been a big question that the DNA was found at Othorn, or Othram, I don't know how it's pronounced, the lab here in Texas. Right. And I've had people say and put in the comments saying, hey, the DNA was on it was found by, the IgG lab. So they have to, show their work, bring that up. Or here, it says here, Idaho State Lab is who located it. And there are warrants. I'm not going to go through them all, but there are warrants referencing the Idaho State Lab, which is referencing this information, the single source DNA. So it was not created in a different lab or found in a different lab. All right, so it says, a part of the investigation, numerous interviews were conducted by Moscow Police Department, Idaho State Police detectives, and FBI agents. Two of the interviews included Bethany and Dylan. Both Bethany and Dylan were inside the King Road residence at the time of the homicides. Both were roommates of the victims. BF bedroom was located on the east side of the first floor in the King Road residence. Based on numerous interviews conducted by MPD officers and ISP detectives and FBI agents, as well as my review of the evidence, I have learned the following. So I think also right here it says they had numerous interviews. Two of these interviews included Bethany and Dylan. So they interviewed them twice, at least, by a few of these different law enforcement. Hey, Eric Schultz in the house with a $2 super chat. Thank you, sir. It's just good to see you, Jaime. It's always good to see you, Jaime.
Is it? Are you sure about that?
It sure is, man. It sure is.
Unless I'm moody.
Then just give him some cranberry juice. He'll be fine. Based on numerous interviews, right? So it says here, on the evening of November 12th, Chapin and Kernodle were seen by Bethany Frank Funke at Sigma Chi House on the University of Idaho campus, right, at 735 Nez Perez Drive at approximately 9. Have also stated that Chapin did not live at the King Road residence, but was a guest of Kernodle. So they did get statements from them eventually, because this is what Bethany is saying. So for those that say, hey, we don't know anything that Bethany said, it's not entirely true. Well, she stated that Ethan didn't live there. He was just a guest, and that she had seen him at that party. Goncalves and Mogen were at a local bar at the Corner Club at 202 North Main Street in Moscow. Goncalves and Mogen have been seen in a video footage provided by the Corner Club between 10 and 1:30 a.m. On November 13, approximately 1:30 a.m., Goncalves and Mogen can be seen on the video. A local food vendor called the Grub Truck. And did I call the Corner Club the Grub Truck? I may have, but I meant the Corner Club earlier.
It's possible. It's possible.
At 318 South Main Street in downtown Moscow. The Grub Truck streams video from their food truck and streaming platform Twitch, which is available for public viewing on the website. The video was captured by law enforcement. A private party reported that he provided a ride to Goncalves and Mogen at approximately 1:56 a.m. from downtown Moscow in front of the Grub Truck to the King Road residence. So anything that happened like at 1 o'clock, 1:30, that people think that they hear on the Linda Lane footage, girls didn't get home until 2, basically. Yeah. So that's out the window. Yeah. All right. So it says DM and BF statements during interviews, multiple interviews, right? They indicated occupants of the King Road residence were home by 2 a.m. and asleep, or at least in their rooms, by approximately 4 a.m. It's interesting, though. It's saying that they were home by 2. How did they know they were in their sleep at 4 if they were asleep? Unless that's the time they fell asleep. I don't know. Things that make me go,
It's creepily too close to the time the incident happened.
Right? Like, how do you know that they were in their rooms and asleep? If you're asleep. Right? Like, unless she fell asleep at 4.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's an aspect. I'm not trying to create conspiracy, but I do think that there's an aspect of poor report writing that's going on here. Before everybody dives into like, oh, there's something, I knew it. We also have to realize that this is the report writing of these sometimes aren't the best, and the smaller the department, usually the less standards that are required. And so you'll get some report writing misspellings. Like me, myself, I can't spell worth a crap. So if it's not for spell check, I'd be in trouble. All right, let's continue this.
I mean, and not only that, but like they can also be, like you said, remembering false, remembering something that is false, by accident. I sometimes forget. Not sometimes. I always forget stuff. Always.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I can be like, oh, it happened yesterday, and that was actually like last week. Let alone like time wise. Yeah.
I mean, unless you're trying to remember something specific, it would be very difficult. I believe the last call was around 2:50 something, 2:45, somewhere around there. It was before 3 a.m. It was right around that time. So, all right, let's continue this. So this says, with the exception of Kernodle, who received a DoorDash order at the residence at approximately 4 a.m. So I think that what they're basically trying to say was like, to your knowledge, did everybody go to sleep and go to bed? And they're probably saying, to our knowledge, everybody went to sleep in bed. And the reason why it says by 4 a.m. is because they know that Kernodle got a DoorDash and received it at approximately 4 a.m. That tells me that she picked up the food or whatever it was. Oh, you're muted, by the way. I didn't hear what you said. That tells me that that Kernodle picked up her food and went to her room. Right?
Seems like it.
Because it says that she received. Well, it says with the exception. So never mind. My bad. That's with the exception. So I think that's why they. I don't know. With the exception of Kernodle, who received a DoorDash order at approximately 4 a.m.
So, like, in other words, everybody except her was asleep, right?
Right. Yeah, I think that's what they're basically trying to say.
Yeah.
And the reason why that they know that is because she received the DoorDash order at approximately 4 a.m. Law enforcement identified the DoorDash driver who reported this information. So I wonder if the DoorDasher saw Kernodle either pick up the food and or if she handed it off to her. Because it doesn't say that it's based off of, DoorDash records. It says based off of the DoorDash delivery driver who reported it. So she reported that it was received. So either you're muted. What's that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, my mute button wouldn't. I pressed it like 10 seconds ago and it finally worked. No, most of the time the DoorDash just drops it off, right? It takes a picture sometimes and it takes off. So, like, if you're gonna report that you received it, it has to be through the app that requested it, right? Requested that bird to be delivered.
I mean, yeah, but if let's just say Xana was ready for her order and she knows, I don't know what she ordered. We're all assuming it's the Jack in the Box because we can see the Jack in the Box name on it. But there's a good possibility that was ordered the day before or earlier that day or a couple of days earlier. The house wasn't clean. But, so we don't know what it was that she ordered. But we know that it was like 29 degrees that night. So she may not want her food to be out there in the cold. So she may have been prepared to, to get the meal. And maybe it was downstairs already waiting for it. Is there like a tracker on like DoorDash, like when you order food, that it shows you where it's at on its way?
You know what? I'm not really sure, dude, to be honest. I know like Ubers do. You can see where your Uber's at, but I don't know if that's the same thing with DoorDash.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know.
But town's too small for DoorDash.
Right.
Yeah, literally, I could walk down the street and I can hit KFC and just buy something and run back.
Well, that's what people are going to do in DoorDash out there. They're just going to run down the street, forget the car. Cynthia Gaines comes in with a $10 super chat. She says, "Do either of you know who the cowboys investigating King Road crime scene?" Chat are asking. I heard they were FBI. I don't know. Thanks for your hard work, guys. I don't know, but I thought that they were probably. They're probably Idaho State detectives. Idaho State Police detectives is probably my thought. Where I'm like in Texas, the county investigators or the state police investigators usually dress in that attire. Federal agents usually don't. They're usually like in suits or 511s, and it's not typical. I don't know. I've never personally seen an FBI agent dress in that manner. I'm sure that there are, but given the area and stuff, I'm going to assume that it was probably the state police investigators, detectives from from the state police, not what do you call it? Not like just officers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good question. Glad I could answer that. Let's see. DM stated she originally went to sleep in her bedroom on the southeast side. See, I still don't understand like this part. She originally went to sleep. Why even put it? Like, even I get you're gonna have to explain it. You're gonna have to give, we're gonna have to know about it later. But why put that in here? Right? There's no necessarily a reason. Let's just say the reason being is that she was talking gibberish, right? And I don't know. I don't understand it. Why do you think they put originally? Do you think she changed her statement? I think that there's a possibility she did. What do you think?
You know what? I'm not really sure. Maybe because, let's see.
It says she originally went to sleep in her bedroom on the southeast second floor.
Maybe because she moved fell asleep somewhere else, and then went back to there. I'm not really sure.
It could mean that she left her room afterwards. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's possible that after the incident that she went to Bethany's room?
Maybe. Yeah.
I do want to remind everybody this is speculation. 100%.
Oh, yeah. Where's our banner?
Where's the banner? There it is.
That up. Yeah, because originally, why would they put that, right? Like, if it's just a straightforward statement, right? Unless, like you said, unless she changed it from something else.
Or she ended up somewhere else. Like, if I went to sleep in my bedroom, I saw these things, heard this stuff, and then, at some point throughout the night, she ran downstairs to Bethany's, which would explain why maybe they don't feel the cold. Because from my understanding, the back sliding glass door was left open through the entire night. If she runs down and she's not on that floor, she may not be feeling the cold as much, but I don't know. I think it would still get down there. It's interesting. But DM stated she's looking at approximately 4 a.m., but what she said sounded like Goncalves playing with her dog in the upstairs bedroom. So she was awoken, so that tells us that she was asleep. She was asleep at 4. All right. Short time later, she heard who she thought was Goncalves say something to the effect, "There's someone here." Now, people can get those type of things wrong. Even though they've lived with each other and stuff, they can get voices wrong and think that they've heard one person and another. But I mean, it is kind of creepy though. If Kaylee was, the first one, one of the first two have perished, and then she hears what she thinks is her saying, "Someone's here." Well, anyways, she thinks she hears that. Now, police think that that's Kernodle because based on the forensic download of Kernodle's phone, which you would think that if they did a forensic download on Kernodle's phone, they're going to do it on everybody, right?
Yeah.
So if there was any sign of drug activity, do you think they would have found it on her phone, on anybody's phone that's in there?
I'm sure they would.
And why would Idaho Police Department or law enforcement protect drug dealers in favor of a criminologist PhD student? Like, I don't get the logic there.
Yeah. No, none whatsoever.
All right. So I think that they did a forensic download. They would have known that, hey, we have some text messages. Even if they were deleted, nothing is ever deleted, and police can pull it up, right? So we did a forensic download of Kernodle's phone, showed that this could have been her, as her cellular phone indicated she was likely awake using TikTok app at approximately 4:12 a.m. Now, folks are saying it could have been running. It could have been running. I'm pretty sure that there's an indication if it was running on the same TikTok or not. Right? It was probably say that it was showing for X amount of times on this one view. So I don't think that was the case. I do think that she was awake at 4:12 a.m. Using the TikTok app, that tells me that she's more than likely in the bedroom, right? 4:12 a.m., not in the kitchen. So she's probably in the bedroom. They think that it is her that said it. So my assumption is, and this is my speculation, that the back sliding glass door was open. It was left open throughout the entire crime. And that Kernodle felt the draft coming in and got up to see what's up. Saw the back sliding glass door open. Said, I think someone's here. Turned around to go back to get her boyfriend, who was still asleep. And I think that's when she may have been surprised as she entered her bedroom. And which would explain why there's no DNA under the fingernails of the victims or any of those things. You know, if two of them were asleep.
Surprise attack.
Yeah, one was surprised. You have Ethan. I'm not sure, you know, how quickly he's going to wake up or whatnot at 4 a.m. if he's drunk and you know, intoxicated asleep, if there's not a lot of noise there that are made. There's just a thud. All right. We know that because of the Ring, or we're assuming it's Ring, but the surveillance camera that picked up audio next door, it said it picked up whimpering or voices, a thud, and a dog barking. It doesn't pick up a scream or any of those things. So is it possible that Ethan was even asleep when he started his attack?
I think so. I think that's a good possibility that he was already crashed out, you know what I mean? Especially after, you know, a long night. I know I would. On the easy day.
Yeah. KB said, but Xana's dad said she had bruises, so there was a fight. I mean, where's the DNA? Where's the DNA under her fingernails? If somebody was fighting for their life, where's the noise for that on the audio? You know, I understand a family could be going through something, but they go ahead. What do you think?
I think if there was a big struggle, I think it would have been a different statement from Bethany. You know what I mean? And Dylan, because I think you could probably hear it throughout the house. You know what I mean?
Well, if you're hearing a thud and you're hearing voices, you would hear a struggle, kicking. Yeah. And that we've seen the pictures of inside that house, right? And the floors were remodeled, and they had those linoleum or whatever. It didn't appear that they had carpet in those bedrooms, so that would have been a pounding. That should have been heard, right? That tells me there wasn't much of a struggle, y'all. Right?
Yeah, especially
now, somebody
if they mistaked it, or they would mistake it for playing with a dog, right?
Right. And like, I'll ask you a question.
I don't think they'll mistake it with playing with a dog or something. A struggle for your life. I don't think they will mistake it for just playing around with a dog. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. And so you have, like, with a K-bar knife, how many times do you think a person with relatively good physical condition could stab a person just back and forth in 1 minute?
You know what? I think there was a study on this.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what it was, but a lot.
Yeah, it's like, it's I think it's like 100 something, you know, like stabs
right there.
Yeah, within a minute.
Yeah.
Within a minute.
That's crazy.
All right. And I don't know who told you that the video was only picked up for a short period of time. Whoever told you that was probably just assuming that. Now, because there's no evidence of that unless you've heard the audio yourself, which I don't think so. You know, if you can hear the thud, you would hear the fights that go along with it, and you would know how much sooner before then as well. Well, anywho, what was the last thing you said
about if the struggle was going on around? Yeah, you wouldn't be able. You can't confuse it for, like, no. At least to me, you playing with the dog. You know what I mean? It'll be
Right.
yelling, screaming, kicking, pushing, fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that there's some sort of misconception or misunderstanding. You know, people think that Bryan Kohberger went up against 4 people who were alert, not intoxicated, awake, and prepared to fight, and had some sort of training, you know, to fight back. And that's not the case here. You know, you had possibly 3 individuals asleep, and a 4th by a surprise, maybe even from behind. And you're not going to have this amazing fight that you see in these movies, you know, that go on for 10 minutes, you know, and the person doesn't die. That doesn't happen in real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen plenty of videos of like robberies at knife point. You know, and it's like when they stab them, they're it ain't like the movies, man. You don't run away. You start spitting out, you know, your blood and whatnot. You tend to stay there.
Paula says, we really don't know that. They could have been awake. Yeah, they could have, but honestly, you got a guy with a knife. You have these 4 individuals that have been drinking that night, even if they're awake. Are they trained fighters? Are they going to be able to, you know, attack Bryan Kohberger, disarm him, tie him up, put him on the ground, wait for police? That's not happening at 4 a.m. as well. Like, come on. It's like, you know, people are saying there's no proof that they were asleep. Okay, all right, let's say that they were awake. Everybody was awake at 4 a.m. for no apparent reason after drinking. And, you know, the ring office next door doesn't pick up any of that noise. None of that gets picked up. It's just, but they're awake, probably doing things they're not supposed to, right? That's the theory. It doesn't make sense.
2 people against 1 suspect. Like, even like you said, they're not trained fighters, and there would have been a hell of a lot of commotion happening. A hell of a lot.
Right. And this person says, unravel. She comes in saying, my opinion is someone is yelling, especially being drunk. Right. But where's the audio? It didn't happen. We're going to hear what happened at court. There's no yelling from here. So it didn't happen. There wasn't this big fight. Right. There would be some sort of, you know, DNA underneath one of these 4 people's, you know, fingernails from scratching or fighting back.
Yeah.
But there's not. And how do we know that? Because they're utilizing freaking DNA that was found on a sheath to compare to Bryan Kohberger. Hello, freaking DNA under the damn fingernail is way better. So unless it's not there, like you're not gonna go sheath, right?
Not only that, but like even the victims in upstairs that were found in bed, you think the suspect would have put them back in bed if they were awake and fighting him?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Wait. Yeah. No, you're right.
But when he
wouldn't
goes
make
through the
sense.
trouble, right?
Right. And I don't think so. I mean, especially with everything that I've been told and what we know from here and everything else. And as far as what audio, at approximately 4:17, a security camera located at the 1112 King Road residence immediately northwest of the 1122 King Road picked up distorted audio of what sounded like voices or a whimper, followed by a loud thud. The dog can also be heard barking numerous times, starting at 4:17. The security camera is less than 50 feet from the west wall of Kernodle's bedroom. There's no screaming. There's no yelling. There's no multiple thuds sounding like kicks on the floor.
Mm-hmm. I think if he went upstairs, right, and did what he did with people that are awake, all the commotion and everything, after he would have committed that crime, he would have been out of there. He wouldn't have gone to the other room You know what I mean? On the second
Mhm.
floor. I think he would have been gone, man, especially because you got two people fighting for their lives.
Right. Yeah, no,
So,
exactly. And even if it comes out that there was a scream, like, I mean, I get it might sound bad to us, but JLR was out there at night.
mhm.
He put his phone up, and you heard multiple screams
Yeah.
from party
Yeah.
goers in that exact area. So even if we were to hear a single scream, that doesn't necessarily mean that in that area that's what's going on. So I feel like, is it benefit of the doubt to the victims that were the surviving roommates? Yeah, it is. It could be perceived that way. But I honestly do not think that they had anything involved because they also had their phones forensically downloaded. And if there was something that
Mhm.
popped up on there, like some sort of connection, I had somebody say they were aware that the other roommates were going to get roughed up. Well, how would they have been aware? How would they have known? There wouldn't have been no conversation through their phone, whether phone call, text message, Snapchat, whatever, because they did warrants on all of them. They did warrants on all of them. So that information is just not going to come up. And if it does, we say, you know what? Let's go ahead and let these drug dealers go so we can go arrest this PhD student.
Mm-mm.
Come on. And for those that are saying, well, what about, he didn't leave any fibers. He didn't do this. Somebody committed this crime. Somebody committed this crime. It's not make believe. Somebody committed this crime. And if you take the DNA off the sheath out of it and you take Bryan Kohberger's name out of this situation, somebody committed this crime perfectly. They committed the perfect crime, didn't leave their DNA, didn't take any DNA with them, didn't do any of those things, and somehow simultaneously, while committing a quadruple homicide with a knife in close proximity to the victims, framed Bryan Kohberger in the process.
Yeah.
Like that.
Not only that, but like if there's no DNA anywhere else, then it will be easier. It will be easier to leave the DNA there if with the struggle and with not, if unless the victims were asleep. You know what I'm saying? It's easier.
Right. Exactly.
So like,
and go ahead.
Oh, no, you said it first.
So what I was, just to finish the last statement of what I was saying is, if somebody committed this crime, and to this extent to commit this crime, they would have had to have had the means to have committed this crime. Means not just meaning that they're strong enough, capable. They would have had to have had the knowledge of how not to leave DNA behind, how not to do any of those things, how to commit a crime, and how you would be investigated because disappeared off the earth. And you think that that's going to be a drug dealer going to do that, or a college kid whose girlfriend just broke up with him, he's moving to Texas and he's all emotional? You think he's going to go through that much detail? I mean, somebody has to be capable of committing this crime. Somebody has to be smart enough to commit this crime. Right. What are your thoughts?
No, like you said, I don't think it's gonna be just someone off the streets that don't know how to, cover their tracks. At least, they have to have some knowledge if they're not gonna leave DNA or anything behind. The only thing the only thing they left behind was the sheath, apparently.
Right.
But someone like if it was cartel, that would have been worse. And there wouldn't be anybody surviving in the house.
Dude, there was a situation where 4 people were executed in California. It was determined it was cartel very quickly, and it was broadcasted that it was cartel very quickly. So those things aren't secrets. Those things, people make a statement. They're trying to make a statement in that. And as far as the other thing I wanted to clear up was, and who's stupid enough to take their own car? Who's stupid enough to borrow a car, rent a car, or steal a car to commit this crime? Like, that's the dumbest thing I would have ever expected somebody to do. You're going to go rent a car? You don't think there's going to be a paper trail for that? All right. You're going to go borrow a car? Now, who are his friends? He's not from the area. right? Bryan Kohberger's not from the area. So who are his friends? PhD students? Or who does he know? I mean, maybe not say friends because I don't think he has any. But who does he know? PhD students? Criminology students? You think they're going to be like, hey, yeah, you can borrow my car. And then, hey, the night I lent Bryan my car, somebody died and there's a bunch of blood in it because apparently there has to be blood because somebody was actively bleeding in there. All right. They're not going to call the police or you think they're going to keep it to themselves? Like, stealing a car. You don't think they're going to, you commit 2 crimes. You got to get away with both of them now. Come on.
Not only
man.
that, but like if you steal a car, the town is super small. You know what I mean? And there's cameras pretty much in every intersection and whatnot. I don't know. I think the best bet was to use his own car and cover it up so he won't get nothing on it. If he got something on him, you know what I mean?
All right, exactly. Watts the Obsession comes in with a $4.99 super chat. A great point, Daniel. Someone had to leave something behind. It seems it was Kohberger. Exactly. Right. And when it comes to Bryan Kohberger and him leaving things behind and people saying, oh, well, he committed the perfect crime. How is he so dumb to leave the sheet behind? BTK left a gun behind at one of his crime scenes. You also have the fact that where are the mistakes made? Where are the mistakes made? The mistakes are made during the commission of the crime, during the time when shit is real. Excuse my French, but that's what it is, right? Like we see the lane footage and we see that after 4 o'clock. And my assumption is that there was a light on in the house to identify that was the house for the DoorDasher. And after Xana received her DoorDash item at 4 a.m., at that alerting tool, whatever it was, maybe it would be a light on in the house or in the front, turned off. And at that point, you start seeing the driver of that white vehicle start acting erratic. It had driven around like 4 times and had no problems. But as soon as whatever happens at 4 a.m., they start doing this weird turn, tries to park in front of the house, can't do it, does another 3-point turn, comes around, parks in the back. It's already making a bunch of mistakes. He even honks the horn. Tons of mistakes. So what makes you think he's not going to continue to make mistakes when he gets in the house, like leaving something important behind? Like, he is smart. He planned the perfect crime. He's not a freaking robot. Humans make mistakes. And the biggest mistake he made was leaving the sheath behind. What do you think?
Yeah, leaving the sheath behind was going to be the big thing he did. You know what I mean? Like you said before, if it wasn't for that, like, I don't know if they could have arrested him. You know what I mean? They would have had no idea who it was. Right.
So yeah, one says 1 footprint. Surely the only one someone. Only 1 footprint. Surely the only one someone didn't clean. All right. So this is assuming that they cleaned the scene. Here's the thing, from my understanding, and even from media sources and stuff like that, the crime was very bloody. It wasn't cleaned up. It was the scene was very bloody, but it was contained to the bedrooms. And if we have a couple of people that were attacked while laying down in bed, gravity would pull the blood downward and soak the mattress beneath them. It wouldn't necessarily pull underneath them, and you wouldn't have your perpetrator stepping into it. So if they're not stepping into the blood, they wouldn't have the footprints. Now, just because blood squirts on you doesn't mean you're actively bleeding either, or that it's going to be dripping. Blood dries fairly quickly. And, the squirting in the blood that is lost there, it's going to be a lot, but the majority of it probably isn't going to be on your suspect. Majority of it's going to be on the wall. It's going to be on the floor. It's going to be on the mattress. Majority of it's going to be in the mattress in the back. So, yeah, that's where I'm at on that. Unless, the killer was rolling on the floor or on the walls, there wouldn't be a trail. Now, why there's a possibility of 1 print, I think that maybe the knife did drip or something, or it could have been from another time, to be honest with you. They didn't see it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Especially because there's so many people that walk in through their house on prior occasions.
Yeah. So this says here it's about what DM saw steady opened the door the third time after she heard crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing. So I think that the crying that is being heard here from Dylan is probably the whimpering that is being heard from the audio. Saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered a person's mouth and stated, and walking towards her. DM described the figure as 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular. The other thing is people are saying, oh man, she used the word, clad in black, but I don't see any parentheses over this. See, right here it says frozen shock phase. That's in parentheses. That means that's what she said. So the black, clad in black and all this stuff, that's just interpretation from what she said that the officer received.
Yeah.
So she said that the male walked back to the sliding glass door. She locked herself in her room after seeing the mail. This leads investigators to believe that he left. And I'll go through just these two right here. A combination of DM statements and law enforcement reviews of forensic downloads of records of BFND. So they went through both of their phone forensic downloads. They went through both Dylan and Bethany's, and they went through all the victims. Don't you think you find something there that leads back to, hey, they were doing something illegal,
criminal activities?
Yeah. Right, or something that would, you would expect something like this to happen. It just doesn't make sense. So believes so it goes, the video of the suspect vehicle described believes and below leads investigators to believe that the homicides occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. During the process of the crime scene, investigators found a latent shoe print. This was located during the second processing of the crime scene by the ISP forensic team, first by presumptive blood tests and then amino black, a protein stain that detects the presence of cellular material. The detected shoe print showed a diamond-shaped pattern. So they had to have seen it because they used a presumptive blood test. You wouldn't take that blood test unless you saw it or you knew it was there, right?
Yeah. No, like especially like how they searched Kohberger's house. They took everything that had a red stain or brownish stain.
Yeah.
Some goes the same thing here.
Yeah. No, I agree. So, just going through this, I don't think there's anything else different, but I wanted to basically touch on a few of the things that, some of the questions and the comments that we had been getting referencing Bryan Kohberger and this statement, and hey, one officer saw it, one officer didn't. And that's not necessarily the complete case. And thank you, Cammie, for gifting a Drunk Turkey membership. If you guys want to be a member,
thank
just
you.
hit the join button. If you want to receive a gift as membership, go out there and turn on your gifts. Just click the little button there where the I guess it's a little gift box, and then turn it on. We'll see who gets it. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to go through this specific hold on. Yeah, I just wanted to go through this specific part of the this affidavit just because of the fact that I've been getting a lot of questions like, oh, hey, you should read this one. There's some differences and this and that, and
a lot of emails actually.
Yeah. And so Angel Diasco, we're having a members only soon. You know what? I'm gonna do that tomorrow. I haven't been able to do it on the weekends. I've been going out of town this past weekend. The weekend before I got COVID, and it's been a horrible weekend. But I'm gonna probably try to do one tomorrow. We'll be doing that, and I'll probably just go into more detail about my trip to Houston, and just we'll talk questions. But
giveaways, maybe.
You know what? I might do a giveaway tomorrow. We'll do a giveaway. We'll give away maybe a sticker or a koozie. So tune in.
Blues nudes.
We might lose some members, but I don't know. Let me know.
We'll gain too many.
That's true. We'll get monetized though for being too aggressive. Let's see. But yeah, so that's all I got for you guys today. I'll go through more of this. And if you guys have any questions, comments, leave them in the comment section. I love to, when you guys ask me these questions about like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? It gives me the opportunity to think about it, research what we saw, and then think about it in a certain moment. I think I can come back with a logical explanation. Let me see. I think I saw somebody say something about aviators. Are we giving away aviators? No, I paid too much for these bad boys. Too much, Right. There we go. Now I feel right. I can't see where.
Oh, there you are, Danny. Where have you been?
I don't know. I let Big Blue run the show, and I just sat in right now. So, but with that being said, I'll be back tomorrow. We'll do a members only, and then we'll be back on Wednesday night talking about some more cases, more crimes, more things that need to be brought to attention. Thank you, mods. Thank you, members. Thank you, everybody in the live chat. Thank you for everybody being respectful. We appreciate y'all. Have a good night. Peace out.